This next recipe is what I cooked for my friends the other night, and when they absolutely rave about it, I want to share it with you at home. This is my stuffed salmon with rice. It is so delicious. There's a few techniques to it, but the best thing about this is you can make it ahead of time, pop it in the fridge, and when you're ready to cook it, you just want to give yourself half an hour. So we need to start with our rice stuffing. So I'm going to be using some Thai Jasmine rice. I like it because it's fluffy and it's slightly sticky, which is great for this stuffing. I'm going to be using the boiling method. So there's also an absorption method, but I only need 1/4 cup. So I find it easier to boil when I have a small amount of rice. So we're going to turn the heat on. We want to start with just, room temperature water is fine. I'll measure out 1/4 cup. And the rice is going to double in size, so we really don't need that much rice. And into the water. I also like to salt my water with just a small pinch of salt. Now, when you're cooking rice like this, you need to make sure you bring it up to the boil. Once it's boiling, turn it down and just gently simmer it for about 10 minutes. And I've just been preheating a medium pan so we can add some butter. Just let that melt, along with 1 onion that I've finely diced. We just want this to soften up nicely. So the best thing about this recipe is once you've got your rice base, you can change the ingredients. So if you want to give this a bit of an Indian inspiration, you can add many different spices, different herbs. I'm giving mine a slightly Middle Eastern flavour with a combination of nuts, dill and some sumac. I also like to add some coriander seed. Now, I don't want to already have it ground. I like to freshly do it myself in a mortar and pestle. So I'll just grab a teaspoon and we're just going to crush that. I like to just give this a crush just lightly because I just want the coarseness of it still there. So just like that. I love that smell, it's beautiful, and it smells even better when it hits the heat. So we'll just pop that into our onion mixture. Also a pinch of salt. And we'll give that a toss. And I'll add some chilli that I've finely chopped. This is just a long red chilli, and I've taken the seeds out so it's not too hot. I'll just give that a really quick stir and just let that keep cooking down until it's really soft. Now, while we're waiting for our rice to cook and also our onions, let's talk about the salmon. Now, I've asked my wonderful fishmonger, Manny from Planet Seafood, to prepare a whole salmon for me. So it was about a 2-kilo salmon, maybe a little bit under, and he's just cut it so the tail has been removed and he's pin-boned it and he's left the skin on it. I just want the centre cut of the salmon. So I've got a tray here, and I've got some baking paper on it and also some twine because we're going to stuff the fish and then tie it so it all stays together. It's so delicious. I'll oil one side of our salmon and just spread that out just lightly. We just don't want it to stick on the base. Also a pinch of salt, and just very carefully we'll just pop that onto our twine. So we just want to tuck that under just so it's quite even underneath. Again, we need to season the fish. It's a big piece of fish, so we do need that salt on both sides. Okay, now back to the onions. They've softened nicely. I'll add a couple of big handfuls of baby spinach, and the aim here is not to cook it too much. We just want it to wilt. So we'll just toss that, get a spoon in there and coat it, and I'll turn the heat off now. Sumac, love sumac, so good sprinkle of that. And now for the rice. So this is cooked. Let's check it. Just have a little taste. Oh, absolutely perfect. Just a slight crunch in the centre, but by the time it gets into here and keeps cooking, then it'll be just right. And then we'll give it a stir. So into this mixture, I also want to add a few more things. I love the combination of dill and parsley with salmon. So we'll get a big handful of that and just break it up, and with a knife, roughly chop it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Again, it's going to wilt just slightly with the residual heat in the pan. Run your knife through it a few times. That can go in along with some chopped pistachios Doesn't that look inviting, all those colours? Fantastic. So we just need to put that to the side, let that cool a bit till it's room temperature, and then we can stuff the fish. Rice mixture has cooled down, so let's stuff this. So you want just a few spoonfuls, and we'll start from the top and work our way down. Now, if some of the rice filling falls out, it doesn't matter because it's going to cook in the oven. It's still absolutely delicious. In fact, it'll go crispy, so it's nice to have a few textures of it. You can see how that rice is perfectly cooked. It's just slightly sticky. I love this. This, in fact, is a meal in itself. You really don't need anything else. Maybe a little sauce, which I will show you how to make after this. Okay, we'll grab the piece of salmon. Now, this is an important part of it. We want the thicker side of the fish to join the thinner belly side, just so we get that perfect, even parcel. So on it goes. You see how we've got that perfect fillet of fish. Now we need a bit more oil, so a drizzle of oil on the top, just so it glistens, and another small pinch of salt. Spread that out. Okay, and now to tie this. So we've got our twine. Because it is fish, it's delicate, so you don't want to tie it really tight. So I do a double knot. The double knot ensures that it stays in place so we can tie it twice. There you go. Cute. So I'm going to continue this, then it goes into the oven, 160 degrees. How beautiful does this salmon look? You can see that crispy rice on the outside. It's perfectly cooked, and you do want to allow it to rest. I should mention this was cooking for about 35 to 40 minutes, but of course, all the timings are going to be different depending on your oven. Now I'm going to serve this with a simple tahini sauce. So a tablespoon of tahini along with some water, and I always like to add my water to the tahini. You'll see that it starts to thicken up before it loosens up too. So we want this to be the consistency of cream. So keep mixing it, and just with the back of your spoon, press the sauce on the sides of the bowl just so it's really smooth. There's no lumps. Some lemon juice. And this is perfect as is, or if you want it to be extra creamy, I love the addition of some yoghurt. So 1, 2 spoonfuls, and we'll mix that in. And this is perfectly suited to the flavours that are in the rice stuffing. So I'll add 1 to 2 tablespoons of this sauce onto the plate, and we'll spread that out. That can be the little bed for our fish. And I want to transfer the fish from the tray onto the board. So I'm just going to lift it from the base and pop that onto my board. You can take it off that baking paper now. Oh, look at that. And usually when I have people coming over, this goes onto a platter and it goes to the table as is because it's just so pretty. Really sharp knife. And I'm just going to trim the first bit off. Don't worry, it doesn't go to waste. That can be a little chef's treat. And have a look at that. Perfectly cooked. So happy with that. See how it's just lightly pink in the centre and cooked on the outside just right. Okay, and we'll cut another chunky piece. Just go very gently through, cutting through to the other side. I'll lift that onto our yoghurt sauce and I'll garnish with a little dill. That is a beautiful way to present fish. There's a little technique in there. I love how the rice is in the middle there, so it's just one entire dish. Serve this hot if you like. You can serve it warm. You know what? It's even delicious cold.